I would like to welcome everyone, and I'm really glad that you took the time today to find out more about Xnet, more about digital solutions for the welding, and more about the potential of the new possibilities for the future. My name is Bojan Ivanov. I'm responsible for the digital welding solutions at EWM. And the topic that we have chosen today has something to do with welding, has something to do with networking, computers and stuff, and has also something to do with digital concepts inside the company. And this is something very important as a short introduction. The topic of digital welding management is one of the subtopics in a digitalization strategy in a company, and should be also considered as a relevant factor for the future competitivity of a company. The future belongs to those who know, and not necessarily only to those who can. And that's why the recording of data, the gaining of reliable objective data from production processes, and most importantly, the evaluation of that data and the use of the results for developing concepts for increasing efficiency, increasing productivity, reducing costs is essential. And that's why part of the things that I'm going to explain today are exactly connected to these possibilities for the companies in the future. And also, of course, the other aspect, the aspect of quality, which is also more and more relevant in today's production and manufacturing world. Product liability, traceability of production, and in that case of welded parts, are becoming essential part of the quality management and quality assurance. And that's why the presence of solutions for those things are also very important. And these are the two aspects of my presentation today. On the one side, delivering a network-based digital solution for gaining objective data from the production process and using this data. And on the other side, the quality assurance aspect of the production, and how can we achieve a higher level of quality, a higher level of quality assurance using the possibilities of the modern technology. This is what describes a system like Xnet. It covers these two aspects, these 2 points, with a few additional functions, of course. But these are the main two things we care about with a solution like this. And this is what we want to offer for the welding process, because when we're talking about welding, we're not just talking about heat input and welding arc and base materials and filler materials and so on. We're talking about also a lot of other things which will appear now here on the screen. We're talking about productivity, we're talking about standards, we're talking about personnel qualification, we're talking about welding documentation, WPSs, WPQRs, a lot of stuff going on in the welding. And to keep track of all of this, be efficient in the work with all these things, and achieving this high level, as I said, of quality assurance is not a very easy task. And this is something that we took a look at in the beginning, and said, wow, this is a big job, and still we took it. And I'm confident that we are able now with Xnet to offer a very, very good solution to exactly these things. What is actually the biggest obstacle here? welding is a very conservative business. Welding machines are normally big, heavy, dirty. The welding process as such also, and therefore a lot of users, a lot of companies are the opinion, okay, we buy once a welding machine, and even if it's 10-year-old and the arc is still burning, it's still a good welding machine. Of course, in the case of functionality in terms of welding, that could be true or is true most of the times, but to use the modern technologies and modern possibilities with old equipment is almost impossible, at least not to 100%. And this is something to be considered in order to use nowadays potential of systems like this. We have to have also an equivalent equipment on our side, and this is an equipment that could be connected to a network that has the according interfaces to receive information and also to deliver information. And that was the biggest challenge for us, how to create a solution which is, of course, based on the latest technology that we also develop in the form of welding machines, but also in some parts or in the most parts can be also applied with present equipment in a company. And that was not so easy to say, okay, we have a welding machine, we have a welding process that we want to cover in some way with a software solution like this, and then on the other side we have a network, something that is nowadays still not present in a lot of companies where the welding machines are. As I said, normally you would say it's dirty, it's dark, and that's not the place where high tech takes place. This changes now, or has to change, which means also if we want to use that potential, we have to create also the according conditions so it can be applied. And then together with the according software solution, then we can make a full system working that delivers us exactly these advantages and benefits. And this is what we started with back then with Xnet. And of course, we had our learning curve, because for a welding equipment manufacturer and developer, it is not self-explanatory how to create a software product like this. The first requests from potential customers were to integrate welding machines into a computer network and be able to see the machines live with their welding parameters and to record the welding data, which is a very basic requirement. It was not so hard to do. And when we presented the first version of Xnet on the previous welding and cutting fair in Essen, we had to discover that actually no one was very excited about it. And we ourselves were very excited because, yeah, now we can connect machines to a network and you can see the results and record the results. But somehow not everyone from the users was so excited about it. And the reason for that, I found this picture on the internet, and I find it also very very impressive because it describes exactly the situation we were in the beginning. We were the developer, and from our point of view, the software package was very good, but somehow the customer, the user, didn't see that. And the reason was we were talking to some customers, but we were not talking to so many at that point, and we didn't understand completely what is actually the motivation behind wanting to have a solution like this. And after that, we started really very intensive discussions with different potential customers and also existing customers in the questions: what do you need a thing like this for, and what are you hoping to get out of this? And then these two main topics appeared. First of all, we needed, in order to calculate, to gain data, to be able to see where we have potential of improvement, where we can save time, where we can save material, well, where we can increase in efficiency. This was the one aspect, and this is the clear data aspect and evaluation aspect of data. And the other aspect was, they said, okay, we want to do it, and also some of our customers wanted to see which part, which component was welded when, how, from whom, and all this relevant information gathered somewhere centrally and available not only now and not only tomorrow, but also in the next 2, 3, 5 years. Because sometimes I still have to show the quality of my work, even with a 5 years in between the production and also the moment I want to do it. So this was the second thing, and then for the next step we said, okay, what is the actual target? And the actual target was, as you can see here on that slide, to gather all relevant information concerning quality and data recording, and then put it in a connection somewhere in a database available centrally in the network of the user. And normally everything starts with information about the welded component, bridge or whatsoever. And when you have that information in a system, in a digital system recorded, then you can then hopefully connect it to the welding equipment that you used for the welding, to the welding process used and recorded, hopefully, to the employee that was actually involved and performing the welding, to the documentation which was required or used for welding of that part. And then with the recorded result, you connect it again with the component, so you have everything together, hanging to each other. And if you're looking for 1, 2, or 3 aspects of those things, you have the possibility really to sort everything out and see exactly what happened, when it happened, why it happened, hopefully. And based on that information, you can trace back everything you have done on the one side, and on the other side, you can create very, very exact calculations about your consumption, about your time, material costs, and a lot of other things that you can gain out from combining the different parameters which you have been recording. In order to do that, of course, we have to create some conditions, as I said in the beginning. And the first basic requirement is, in that case, to have a network equipment. And this is where the generation of welding machine kicks in. You can not do it completely with welding machines from 10, 15 years back. You have to have equipment which is capable of communicating over a network. Some machines can be adapted from a certain age, others not necessarily. But if you want to use the full potential of a system like this, you need equivalent equipment with the according interfaces. The next thing is, of course, if you want to record also documents, these documents cannot be used in paper. So you need to have them in an according digital format. And we're not talking about scanned WPSs as a PDF. This is not data that you can use for evaluation. This is not data that you can evaluate digitally. This is just something, this is just paper in a different form. And that led to our decision then, in that case, okay, if we need the documents digitally, then let's offer the user also the possibility to create them by himself in the system. And by that also we'll meet all the requirements about the format of the data. And that applies not only to the welding documentation, it applies also to the digital qualification of the welders. So if you have a welder certificate, and again, you get it from in form of paper, it cannot be used in a digital system. So you have to create it already digitally and probably transport it also digitally between different systems. And that is something in the future I'm pretty sure that's going to come, that a welder will appear and he will not bring a piece of paper, but he will bring a digital number of his certificate, which is stored somewhere in the organization that issued actually that certificate and performed the test of the welder's test piece. And then just with that number, he will go to his employer. The employer will enter this digital certificate number in his system, and then all the data will be digitally transferred in his own database from the database of the organization. This is something that makes sense, and this is something that hopefully will be the future, because by that we will then really increase the efficiency of the whole process and will decrease the amount of paper produced only because we have to write something down. And then the last thing that should be present in a system like this is the digital information about the component. That could be a barcode, that could be a QR code, something that allows us to scan that information and to enter it in the system. So after that, according again to that information, part number, batch number, or whatsoever, we are able to pin all other informations recorded from that point to this number, and then after that make the evaluation or the tracing back of the welding process. And connected to these conditions and these requirements, we have two additional possibilities resulting. The first one is the so-called predictive maintenance that we can perform on our welding equipment. And the other thing, which is very, very important for the cost saving and also for the real-time quality assurance, is the monitoring of the welding process in real time. Which means if you have these 4 points as requirements fulfilled, we can also use these two additional aspects of the digitalization. The real-time monitoring process gives us, that's why it's so important, because it gives us the possibility really to see things in the process which could be relevant for the quality in a very short notice. And that is exactly the potential of the real-time monitoring for saving costs, because otherwise, if a deviation in the welding parameters is not noticed and probably leads to a defect in the weld, this defect will be seen probably sometime later in a non-destructive test, and then we have to repair. But the longer or the later we discover a defect like this, the more expensive it becomes to really correct it or to repair it. And by monitoring the welding process in real time, we have the chance to react on changes in the welding parameters and then see if there is a need to do something, to correct, to repair, or to say, no, these are just standard deviations in the welding process, they're okay, we can ignore it and then also continue. What is the most important thing from my side, or from my point of view, in this possibility is that we have now also the possibility to transport this information also directly to the welder. On a display on the welding machine, on a LED bar on the welding machine, or whatsoever, in terms of color or in terms of text. In form of text, we can display this information or communicate this to the welder so he can actually act right away. This is something that was not or is not possible right now. The welder welds, after that he performs his visual testing, and that's it. But he doesn't see the actual recordings, the actual parameters of his last weld or previous welds. And with a system like this, we can transport this information on a tablet, on an industrial PC, even on a smartphone, directly to the welder, so he can connect to his machine, he can see his last welds, he can see everything was okay, he's inside the tolerances. So the probability that something went wrong is much, much lower. And then this helps us again to meet really the requirements that we have set to ourselves or are set externally by standards or customer requirements. The predictive maintenance is another topic, which is again something that brings high potential of cost savings, because when we use a system like this that records our welding parameters, that gives us a chance to establish process secure times, which means times, durations in which the welding process runs smoothly and constantly and brings exactly the result and the performance that we need. Then we can use this time to activate maintenance timers that will inform us, well, this process secure time is over. We should perform the required maintenance in order to ensure the continuing productivity of this process and the continuing security of this process. If we don't do it, then the things happen which we see here on the upper side of the slide. The welding process becomes more and more unstable until the big bang comes. After that, we have a maintenance which is normally longer and more cost intensive than the standard and planned maintenance on the welding machine. And after that, we can start again. So we are losing here two things. We are losing time in terms of longer maintenance, and for the duration, when we see here the yellow curve, we were actually losing quality and again money, because the welding process was not running smoothly and stable in that time. And that's why predictive maintenance is a high potential for saving costs in systems like Xnet, giving us really the chance, after we establish the secure times, to use them in order to plan and do our maintenances on the welding machines. Well, after I introduced this overall possibilities with Xnet, let me get a little bit more specific about the product. We're talking here about a software solution which is server-based. It's installed one time somewhere in a company. The recommendation is, of course, to do it on a server PC, because after that you have also taken care about backup of the welding data and security and so on. And after the software is installed on the computer on the server PC, the access to the system and to the recorded data is just over a web browser on a device inside the same network. So no additional installations are required. No additional settings are required. Once the software is installed and running, you can access it from every device inside the network, and only you need for that a web browser. And we have a modular structure of the product, which means the user starts with a basic set, which gives them the possibility to connect the welding machines to the network, to see them online, to record the data, to use the maintenance and online monitoring of the welding parameters. And that's a very good base to start. And after that, or from the very beginning if you want, you can use also the upgrades 1 and 2, which include the creation and management of welding documentation, and also the management of welding components, including creation of welding plans, welding sequence plans, and a few other things. And what is also very important for a system like this and for our product, so many users as the customer or the user wishes can be part of the system even simultaneously, which means you can access the data from several computers at once, and you don't have any additional cost by that. It's up to the user how many persons in the company should work and should have access to Xnet. And why did we do that? Because we are confident that in the future also the welder will be an active user of Xnet, and if he has access to this data, which is also relevant to him with WPSs, with welding sequence plans, then he can also gain and contribute to the quality and also to the efficiency of the welding process by being also an active user of Xnet. And the other aspect is very important. Everything that runs in Xnet in terms of monitoring or maintenance runs in real time on the welding machine itself, which of course means the machine has to be a little bit smarter than the standard welding machines, but yes, they are, and they can take care all these operations, carry out all these operations locally on the welding machine. So if you have configured the welding machine and even the network connection is lost, still the welding machine stays capable of acting and communicating to the welder if something should not meet the requirements or the required settings. Very good tool for the welding coordinator, allowing him to create, to manage welding documentation, WPSs, WPQRs, even from welded data, which saves a lot of time when you're using already recorded data to import it into a WPS and also to create a WPQR. That saves a lot of time because you are reusing already the present information in the system, and helps a lot also if you're going to get a certification, or if you have to keep your certification according to certain welding quality management standards like ISO 3834 or EN 1090, because a lot of the things, or most of the things included as a functionality and information in Xnet are actually based on the requirements of those standards. For the management, very important to keep track on data, to keep track on numbers, to generate KPIs and to follow up the progress and the efficiency of the production. This is something that Xnet delivers straight away. And of course, well, as I mentioned, for the welder, very important, he has direct access to his own data, to his own welding machine, his own recorded parameters, so he can learn from what he has been doing, or he can show what he has been doing, and also continue working with a completely different confidence compared to the situation currently, where he has only the possibility to visually see his result, but not to follow up the welding parameters in the last welds. I mentioned the 3 different modules, which you can see here on this slide. We start with a basic set where a certain range of functionalities included, and then afterwards you could then extend the functionality of the software with a WPQX manager or with the component management for the functions. The way you combine these modules give also different possibilities, different functionality ranges. I don't want to get into details here, just remember this slide. And if you should have any questions, you can contact us. You can contact one of our certified sales partners in order to get more detailed information. Probably the last slide, if I take a look at the time. Yeah, I have 2 minutes left. This is how a welding system like this would be, or digital system like this would be put together. We have welding machines connected to a network. They could be connected via LAN or Wi-Fi to the network. They report all their data and informations to the Xnet server, where everything is stored in an SQL database. And from there, this information is available to anyone or to everyone who has access to Xnet with username and password to access that data from any device using just the browser, the installed browser of the system. I mentioned the SQL database, and this is important information because it actually is something that is at this customer's disposal to be used, to be connected also to other tools. So you can then merge this data with the information from other databases. For that, you need a dedicated BI tool or the according middleware that allows you to merge and distribute data from different databases. And by that, you see Xnet could be a central solution for the welding. It could be also just one of the data sources that allowed the company really to get an overall information about everything going on in the company, even if it comes from different sources, from different databases. Here you can see an example of what you can do if you access directly the database of Xnet. For example, here with Power BI from Microsoft, we have accessed the data here, and we have taken a look at the pure welding time of different scanned parts, and you see here how big the difference can be between different parts in the duration of welding. And if your target is actually to see where is the potential of savings here, then of course it is better to start looking for potential in the parts where you actually have the highest consumptions, the highest cost, and so on. So analysis like this gives you the idea, okay, maybe I should start here, where I have so much time and costs, and probably there, if I can achieve 10% of savings or 15% of savings, then of course the absolute value will be much higher than if I start with one of these two things, which actually are pretty much irrelevant compared to this part in terms of welding time. The same thing can be done also with other tools. I just wanted to display by that it's possible to access the data of Xnet with different tools, and that makes very flexible the working with those numbers and informations. So I came to the end of my presentation, and would be glad now to answer questions if you should have any.
Thank you, Mr. Ivanov. Dear participants, if you have questions, you can now enter them in the question box so that Mr. Ivanov can answer them. So I see that the first question have been received. The first question is, how much costs the system?
Yeah, that's a very important question. Even if it's so good and so nice, it has to be affordable. The basic set of Xnet starts with 2,500 euros. And it's, as I said, unlimited in number of users working with the system. It's unlimited also in that case in the number of welding machines you can connect to the software. The next modules or upgrades, the WPQX Manager and component management, have prices of about 5 to 800 euros per piece. So we are talking here about fixed overall costs of the complete software package of under 5,000 euros. We are offering our users, our customers, also the so-called service license agreement, where we have different services included, like updates of welding machines, updates of software, and so on. There are 3 different levels you can choose from, and but they are not obligatory. Should you choose to use one or to order one, then we're talking about 1,500 euros for the first level, and the next levels are variable because they're also connected with the number of welding machines you're using in Xnet. But again, most of the times it's again under 5,000 euros per year. Good. Other questions?
Okay, the next question is, how can welding machines be integrated with own equipment?
Yeah, that's probably because I had only pictures of EWM machines on the slide. It is possible to connect also welding machines of other brands to Xnet. For that, an additional hardware is required. Our universal logger, which is a external measurement unit that measures the welding parameters of the welding machine from the outside, and then transports these measured parameters to our gateway, and from there to Xnet server. It is a solution that works very good, but we have to consider here many of the functionalities of a system like Xnet are based on the both-sided communication to the welding machine. This means we extract welding parameters and welding data from the welding machine in order to record them and analyze them. But on the other side, we also transport parameters and information to the welding machine. For instance, it is possible by scanning a certain component to set up the machine automatically to the WPS that is required for that component or for that exact weld. And these detailed information we can send, of course, to welding machines that we can talk to. And these are our own welding machines. There is still no standard interface on welding equipment where we can then talk also to welding machines of other brands. That's why it has to be considered if we're talking about the integration of other non-EWM equipment to the Xnet system. We have also to take into account that we're going to lose a certain amount of functions. Let's say 20–30% of the functionality is then not possible simply because we don't have the possibility to communicate with the machine or to the machine in that case. So, as I said, to sum up, it is possible to use it, to use other equipment, but we have to consider there on a little bit lower range of functionality of the software.
Thank you. Again, I don't see any questions. No other questions have been received. Do you have final informations or final words for our participants?
Yes, if should anyone need additional information about Xnet, they are welcome on our EWM homepage, where under the category product you can access the EWM Xnet landing page, and there we have put together information about Xnet in terms of videos, in terms of pictures, and also different other informations about the products. So you can take a look at it if you want, and a small glimpse in how the software works with a few clicks. The login screen when you connect to the system and change the language to the according. Let's do English in that case. Gives you a quick insight of what is available in your network in that moment. Here we have currently 6 welding machines online, 2 of them ready to weld, 4 of them in a standby mode. We can see the latest recordings on different welding machines in the network, information about the welder's qualification, consumption chart and benchmark between today and tomorrow. We can even see currently also a welding machine in the real-time welding. If we connect to it, then we can see the welding process live as a graph running here. Oh, we just lost it. The colleagues now in our application center are currently welding, so we can, if we're lucky, we can take a look in a real welding process right now. In that case, we're talking about a welding machine that is used now for aluminum welding, as you can see here, with 1.2 millimeters wire and 100% argon as shielding gas. But these are just a few things that you can see in the software, up to also recording data or recorded data of the welding machine with a detailed graph of the welding parameters showing the current, the voltage, the wire feed speed movements, and yeah, a lot of things that can be recorded or analyzed. So these were my final remarks, and if you have any other questions regarding Xnet, feel free to contact us over the contact application on our homepage or directly by mail. It's not a problem. So I thank you again for the time and for the interest in Xnet, and hope to see you soon in person or digitally. Doesn't matter.